At the William Monroe Trotter Collaborative for Social Justice, we believe in an intergenerational movement. We believe that young people, that people of all generations have a place in fighting for freedom and liberation. And so I am so grateful that we have a sister that come who many of you have seen her protesting in the streets, fighting for justice, fighting for the rights of our people. She is the CEO of TDL Strategies, a campaign organizer and all around bad sister. It is none other than Tiffany D. Loftin. I'm so grateful to have our dear sister come and offer the keynote address to open us up for the Academy of Citizen Activism. Tiffany, we're so glad that you're here with us.
I'm too happy to be here. This is exciting. This is so cool. Shout out to y'all. Devon, thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. It is good to see you, brother.
So good to see you.
I am honored. First of all, let me say that I'm honored to be here with you all. And I want to thank my dear big brother, former president of the NAACP leader, Dr. Cornell Brooks. I want to thank you, brother, for not only your inspiration and your leadership, but for your strategy. You know that is my love language. And so people who are doing this work, who ask us to work in relationship with one another, to inspire, to train, to educate, and even to pass on new knowledge to people around us, this is a special opportunity for us to be able to do that. I'm honored to be the keynote speaker. I am excited about you all's theme, achieving our country. I think that especially now, in this moment, after the pandemic, I'm gonna talk about that in a second, but after the pandemic, the question right now is not, what are we gonna do for the next election? What happened in the last election? What do we need to do about police brutality? We have a global call, each and every one of us, to be leaders, to be activists, to be trainers, to be artists, to be educators, to be workers, to be fundraisers. And I think that I want to bring a message today around how we play and do that together. Not only through my experience, I just turned 32. Shout out to all my Aries family that's watching. But I want to focus on what that means for you all in the next couple of months, since it's summer and towards the end of the year, and maybe what that can mean for your career. So I think it's incredible to have an academy for this. I wish I had an academy like this when I was young. We had the Midwest Academy, and that trained us a little bit, but it wasn't an actual course like this. So shout out to Dr. Cornell Brooks, shout out to Harvard, shout out to Devon. I appreciate and love you all so much. As Devon said when he introduced me, I am a campaign organizer, and I define that specifically. I don't like being called an activist or a leader, not because it's bad, but because as a campaign organizer, I really hound my work in three ways: by creating theories of change that actually lead to substantial evidence-based solutions. I do that in three ways. I'm explaining this to you for a reason, because you got to know how you identify. I know you know how you identify. First, I help people understand and become aware of their own power. Two, it's really important to me that I show people how to alter the relationships of power. Because number three, I want us to win concrete victories that improve people's lives. I don't do this stuff to perform. I don't do this stuff because it pays a lot of money, because it don't. I don't do this stuff because I enjoy the struggle. I do this because I know that we can win. If we help people understand their own power, help folks alter the relationships of power, and then show them how they can win concrete victories, I actually believe we can achieve the country. That's the theme of this conference, that we can actually achieve that. But before we do, I do understand that it is hard to, for over a year, to be on the computer, to be watching this on a television. We've done a lot of Zooms. We're using StreamYard today. We've done a lot of StreamYards. We've done a lot of IG Lives. We've done a lot of YouTube panels. We've done a lot of Instagrams. So I know that it is a commitment to be a part of this space. And I want to honor and thank you for joining me and for asking me to be the keynote speaker in that. That also means that I wish we could do this together. When the world opens back up, feel free to invite me. I can come to Harvard again. I would love to. Shout out to everybody who's part of the IM2 conference. I love that conference as well. Shout out to the Black Student Union. And as I think about my schedule and like wanting to go places and the world opening back up, I'm currently sitting in Las Vegas, Nevada. And let me tell you something. after the government and the CDC said that you don't have to wear a mask if you have been vaccinated, there's a lot of fake people out here walking around. I believe they're fake, walking around here with no mask. I know you're not all vaccinated, but you're walking around with no mask, and you don't have to prove it when you're in the casino or when you're walking down the strip. And so I've been masked up this entire weekend trying to stay safe, understanding that my biggest desire right now is to not live in this world anymore where we have to wear masks and we have to be social distancing, physical distancing. I would love to be at a day party. I would love to be singing with you all, doing karaoke. You all, there's the trap karaoke. I would love to be singing with you all, singing songs, being outside, having fun, eating our favorite foods, drinking our favorite drinks. I would much rather be doing that. Okay. Thinking about the world opening back up, that is my wish for all of us, that we can relive some of those greatest memories to create community again and celebrate each other. Because it's been a really, really, really hard last 2 years. That being said, one of my favorite types of music is smooth jazz. The reason why is because when I was a kid, I'm the oldest of three, my mom, to put us to sleep, always turned on, I'm from Los Angeles, California, 94.7 The Wave. 94.7 The Wave is one of my favorite radio stations. I have not been able to find a radio station anywhere else in the country like it. They just basically play smooth jazz, just smooth. The host has a deep voice and they just play smooth jazz music. And when I was going to sleep when I was a kid, my mom would play that music and I would wake up in the morning and the music would still be playing. And even now it holds a soft spot, in my regimen to go to sleep. I play smooth jazz at night. I play smooth jazz in road trips. I play smooth jazz on the airplane. I play smooth jazz before I'm about to do a keynote. And I think what excites me the most about smooth jazz music is I don't have to listen to words. I can make up stories myself when I'm listening to the music. But also, if you actually listen to instruments, and I know that sounds really basic because a lot of the music we have right now ain't with instruments. They're like tapping on a piece of cardboard. But the instruments in smooth jazz move me differently. I really love listening to the saxophone, the piano. I like guessing which instruments they are. I love how instruments have roles to play in certain parts of the song, the bridge, the verse, or the chorus, or the ending, or when they want to keep it in the pocket and the guitar player is playing because it's his solo. I love listening to smooth jazz. I think there's something to say about the role that every single one of those instruments have in a smooth jazz song, whether it's Kenny G or whether it's Gabriel Albright. I love to listen to the composure of the song, whether the song sounds happy or sad. I like listening to the role, the responsibility of the instrument in that song and how they decide to chop it up to tell a story. The coolest thing with smooth jazz is that you get to make up that story when you listen to it because there's no lyrics. Of course, the artist might have an inspiration for the story, but I love making the story myself. I've worked a lot with membership-based organizations. When I graduated college, I went to UC Santa Cruz in Northern California. I became the elected president of a national student organization, 4.5 million college students. I left that organization when I finished and went to work for the Teachers Union, a member of unionship of teachers and educators around the country. Then I went to the AFL-CIO, the American Federation of Labor Congress of Industrial Organizations, where we are a coalition of every single type of union. I left that and went to the National Education Association, which is the largest union, also the largest teachers and educators union. And then I went to go work for the NAACP. I just transitioned out of that job back in February. But what I've been reflecting on is the responsibility that every single person has. I'm not talking about titles. I'm talking about gifts, experiences. The role that every single one of those people have to win concrete victories that improve our lives. Just like the instruments in the songs that I listen to in smooth jazz. Everybody doesn't have a big role. Everybody isn't the composer. Everyone can't play the saxophone. Some folks can't play the trumpet. Somebody might have to be the cowbell. But the song is so beautiful, I keep it on repeat. I've noticed that in 2020, during the pandemic, there were a lot of things that repeated themselves from our history. Not just police brutality. Not just a government and leadership that can't make smart decisions for the community, But this idea of scarcity, the fight came back to say there are some basic needs that people need, and they should be able to have the right to them. And clearly they don't. We talked a lot about homelessness and housing, safety, healthcare, access to quality education remotely for all of our communities, no matter what zip code you come from. How were folks who were on the immigration justice track, how are they going to keep their families together? How are they going to get access to the services that they needed? All of those conversations that we have been having, that I have been having for the last 12 years, came up last year, and it was like, oh, this makes sense. Let's just do it because we're in a pandemic and folks need help. I do think that there are 5 things that you all moving forward over the summertime and into the fall, as you embark on whatever new opportunities show up in your personal and professional life, whatever internships or jobs or your new career move, or maybe you were like me and you're like, I know I need to do something different. I want to have a bigger impact. Whatever that is, I have 5 things for you. The first thing, you're not going to like me for this. The first thing that I need you to know is that you know more than you think you know. You know a lot. I don't care how old you are. I know that, my big brother, Jeff Johnson, says there's a difference between old people and elders. Elders will tell you that you know a lot, but you got to stick intergenerational organizing, etc. Old people will tell me you don't know nothing at all. And I don't think that's true. I know a lot. Actually, you know a lot. Don't ever doubt that. Don't ever question yourself. You know a lot. But you don't know everything. When you get into that new job or that new role, when you go and work on that new campaign, when a crisis happens and the movement and the uprisings spark again and you want to get engaged, you don't know everything. We are all learning this together. We are all organizing and creating long-lasting movements together. We don't know everything. You don't know everything. I don't know everything. I take it personal when people tell me that. But we had to come to the realization we know a lot. We don't know everything. Number 2, what you do matters, but it might not feel like what you're doing matters in the moment. Now that I'm freelancing and consulting, there are things that folks have asked me to do that I have said, I am not going to do it because it does not make me feel fulfilled. There are things that I'm not doing because I feel like that would be better suited for somebody else. There are things that I'm not doing because I would rather actually spend a larger percentage of my time focusing on something else. But there are necessary things that have to get done, that I have to do, that I will do, even though I might not want to. Some of us are asked to do things by leaders, elders, mentors, therapists, consultants, whatever, managers, and we might not feel like in the moment it's important, but it is. Just like I mentioned that cowbell, they might ring that mug 2 times in the song, but it was necessary. It made the song. Without it, the song would not be the same. So your role, whatever ask people have of you in this movement, you have to do it because it's got to get done. If you don't do it, then I guarantee you, it will continue to come up until you do it. So then you can move to your next role in leadership. The third thing I think that is the most important thing about the movement we all should consider when we move into this post-pandemic world, looking for focus and energy, is relationships matter most. I can't see y'all, but I know that last year, there were moments in time where you were either checking in on other people that you knew needed to be checked on, spiritual, mental, physical, whatever health, you checked on them. How you doing? It's a pandemic. Are you okay? And then there were times in the reverse where people needed to check on you. We did that with people that we had strong relationships with. We did that with folks who were our significant others, our family. We also did that with coworkers, I did that a lot at the NAACP for the youth leaders in the organization. I had to call them routinely, not with an agenda, not about work, not with an ask, not with a secret agenda, just how you doing? And I don't want us to lose that post-pandemic. I also want us to consider that our relationships should never be transactional. You have to foster those relationships and get to know people genuinely. And I say this sincerely, we are losing that in this movement. I am able to pick up the phone and call my comrades in the organizations that I need to work with. They will answer the phone for me because we have a good relationship. I'm able to slide in people's DMs that I've never met and say, hey, can we get lunch? I'm actually in your city. And we have linked up, built a relationship, and now we can work together. If we do anything right, it's we have fun when we do this. What we need to do more right is have strong, authentic, non-transactional relationships with our people. Not because you need something or not because they have a blue check, but because this is what we're supposed to do. Also, I want you to trust new opportunities. I thought I was going to be a lawyer. I thought I was going to be an astronaut, and now I'm an organizer. My mother always told me when I was a kid, she would say, make sure that you always raise your hand and have fun. What she meant by raise your hand is not to always ask questions, which is that's a part of the motto, but it was to raise your hand to volunteer for every opportunity. There are things that I've worked for the environmental justice climate change movement. I've worked for Planned Parenthood. I've worked for the labor movement. I've worked for the education movement. I've worked for the criminal justice ending mass incarceration movement. I've worked for union movement. There are movements that I have worked on that I would have never imagined that I could do. And they have positioned me to travel to 37 international cities, serve on President Barack Obama, still my president, President Barack Obama's Commission on Educational Excellence for African Americans. I've been able to speak and meet with Oprah last year during the pandemic to talk about how we're going to engage young people for the election. I have myself ran 8 elections and won every single one of them. There are things that you don't know you're capable of, or you don't know that will benefit you because you're scared and you will say no to it because it's not in line with what you think you should be doing. I want you to trust new opportunities, and sometimes they come from other people, which is why relationships are important. And then number 5, when we think about the list that I just gave you, when we think about the role that we all have in the movement, the learning that we have to do, the friends that we haven't even met yet that we're going to make this year, the responsibility we have to trust new opportunities, to understand that my little itty bitty role, or what I think might be a little itty bitty role, is actually important and necessary to the greater cause of the work in the movement. Whether it's databasing, whether it's making phone calls, people I do not know, or whether it is donating money, whatever it is, I know that that is important. When we think about that list, number 5, I want us to consider what that means for the song. What story will be told? Will we be on the right side of history publicly? Do we understand what implications are discipline to activism, to organizing, to the movement? Do we understand what implications that has to pass the baton to the next generation? Do we understand the influence we can have when we show people how easy it is to achieve the world that we want to win? We don't have to fight about it. We might not agree, but we don't have to fight about it. We can still get to that world together. That song that we will play in 2021, that we're already playing, that song is what I want us to focus on. Whatever movement that makes you a part of, whatever role you have in that movement, that song is what I want us to focus on. And the important thing about the song is this: the song is going to come to an end. When that song is over, your role will change. You will meet new people. You will get to trust new opportunities. Nonetheless, it's still the song. Enjoy the song. Live in the song. Watch and study and learn and be inspired by the other instruments in the song. And no matter what your note is, no matter what your role is, play your role in the song with Black excellence, as I tell my staff. Be excellent in your role. If we can do those 5 things, then I think that the folks that I organize who are disgusted with the political gridlock, who are disgusted with the promises that they thought would come once they took a small leap of a small tactic or a small leap of activism. They thought the world would change. It's not there yet. Those people who are not leading or want to be disengaged now or don't, the folks who say, oh, I don't do politics, those people, if we can do that well and inspire those folks, I do believe that what we need to do is show them that it is possible to change the world and then go back to them and say, look what we did. Now let's do more together. Let's play the song together. I don't want you to just listen and watch anymore. I want you to do it with me. That is what we do. That is what we do as organizers. That is what we do as leaders. That's what good leadership looks like. My vision for achieving that world includes so much. It includes canceling student loan debt, all of it. It includes justice for women's reproductive rights. We have that fight coming up in October, probably the results of that from the Supreme Court at the top of next year. It means universal voter registration. I still don't understand why we have to register to vote every year. We should be able to register one time and then you always going to be registered. Unless you change your state, you should always be registered. It includes safe communities, no more police brutality. It includes making immigration processes easier, more accessible, and keeping families together. It includes, excuse me, ending the death penalty. It includes making education a right. It includes ending apartheids around the world. And I want you to know, excuse me, I want you to know, that's coconut water. I know I said I was in Vegas, that's coconut water. I want you to know that your role in that is not just on social media, it's global. I'll leave you with this quote that I have been meditating on since I left the NAACP. The quote says, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. That is Howard Thurman, the American author. It says, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. I know that I have the honor of being the first keynote speaker for the opening part of this conference. I am so excited for what you all are going to take away in the next 2 days. I think that this is an incredible program that you all should think, and again, trust new opportunities, that you all should think of ways that in the future, how can I replicate this for other folks? More of us can have the opportunity to go through a leading achievement class to talk about how we change the world together and get to know each other in that process. So I look forward to building with you all after the keynote. I look forward to building with y'all through the rest of 2021, 2022 when we have midterm elections, and 2024 when we got another presidential election. We're in this fight together, and I want you all to come alive so that we can win concrete victories that improve our communities. Thank you all so much. Devon, back to you.
Tiffany, that was absolutely incredible. Thank you, and thank you.